أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على خير خلقه أجمعين محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى أصحابهم الغر الميامين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. قال الله عز وجل في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وجاهدوا في الله حق جهاده هو اجتباكم وما جعل عليكم في الدين من حرج ملة أبيكم إبراهيم هو سماكم المسلمين من قبل وفي هذا ليكون الرسل شهيدا عليكم وتكونوا شهداء على الناس فأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واعتصموا بالله هو مولاكم فنعم المولى ونعم النصير. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, listeners, audience, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. In our fourth discussion about being black and Muslim, we will touch again something that we touched in the previous discussion, the story of Nabi Ibrahim ala nabina wa alihi alayhi salam. For it is very relevant for us, it is very relevant for us coming from families that are not Muslim, coming from societies that are not Muslim, facing the difficulties and facing the challenges that we face. He is sort of a way to guide us, you see. Now, tonight's discussion is about the identity crisis that we face as black Muslims. Whether you are new to Islam, whether you are born to Muslim parents, or especially in South Africa, whether you are three generations Muslim, us as the black people, we face this trouble wherever we go, and it doesn't seem to be going away. So we need to have a qudwa, we need to have a uswa, somebody that we can emulate, somebody that can be an exemplar for us on how to navigate to this. So the one that I found in the Quran is Nabiyuna Ibrahim alayhi salam al-Khalil, the friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Al-Mumtahana, we discussed this in one of the previous lectures in Surah Al-Mumtahana, where we mentioned the story of Nabi Ibrahim and how him and his people, how they in verse number 4 in Surah Al-Mumtahana, where it says, indeed, there's a good example for you in Ibrahim and those who are with him when they told their people that, no, you know what, we are free from what you do. I'm paraphrasing, of course, and from what you worship, that there is other than Allah. We have disbelieved in that. And then due to that, some enmity occurs or manifests until those people believe, you see. So it causes a different identity, because these people, when we become Muslim, they are our families, they are our relatives, they are people who we relate with, they are people who we see ourselves in, they see themselves in us, and now we take up a new religion, so it causes some problems, it causes some cognitive dissonance, if that is relevant here, but it makes it difficult for them to relate to us now, because we have taken Islam as a religion, you see. So we see here a point that I forgot to mention in the lecture when discussing this, in the discussion, when talking about this verse, is this part where Ibrahim says, لِأَبِيهِ لَأَسْتَغْفِرَنَّ لَكَ وَمَا أَمْلِكُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. What I wanted, the important thing here is that his father figure was a disbeliever, but he promised him that I'll seek forgiveness for you because he's still alive. The chance for repentance is there. The chance for tawbah is there. The chance for atoning is there. The chance for turning his life around is still there. So long as he's alive, that promise remains in place. One of our ulama, a friend of mine from the US, Yusuf Walizadeh, Allah dhikr bil khair, always reminds me, he says, no, you don't condemn people to hell because Ayatollah Sajidi taught us that as so long as somebody is alive, the opportunity for them to repent, to atone, to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. So rather pray for their guidance, pray for their hidayah, pray for their maghfirah, then inshallah they will be guided. So this was applicable as well for the father figure of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Agir. So it's the same thing that with us as well. Why this is important to mention is I mentioned this, I heard this and it disturbed me. I told this to many brothers and it disturbed them too. How does a Muslim say this? There's a guy who I met. He's like, yeah, no, I told my mother that I'm not gonna bury her because she's a kafir. She's a disbeliever. I'm not gonna bury her. I won't partake in that. Like, how do you say this to your mother? How do you say this to the one who brought you to this world? What's that famous hadith ascribed to Imam Ali? I've never seen it honestly, but what does it say? Don't use your speech to hurt the one who taught you how to speak. Somebody says this about their mother. You see, this is a form of ignorance, a level of ignorance, and a lack of Islamic education, and a lack of Islamic tarbiyah and training, and a lack of ethics, a lack of adab. This is terrible, terrible. We can't say that, you see. But using Ibrahim as an example, coming to the verse that we started with today, which is the last verse of Surah Al-Hajj, it says, "Jahidu fi wajahidu fillahi haqqa jihad." Strive in the path of Allah. Strive to reach Allah the proper way. He is the one who chose you to be Muslims, to be where you are, to put you in the position, and he did not make religion difficult. وَمَا جَعَلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ مِنْ حَرَجٍ. This is a jurisprudential principle, a jurisprudential foundation that is used to promote or to substantiate and support easy rulings in Islam, to make rulings easy in Islam and make the life of a Muslim easy rather than complicating rulings and making them difficult. And what should you follow? Millata abikum Ibrahim. The religion or the principles or the way of life of your father Ibrahim. He is the one who called you Muslims. هو سماكم المسلمين من قبل وفي هذا ليكون الرسل شهيدا عليكم. And due to this, the prophets are a pretext, or they are witnesses over you, and then you are witnesses over other people. So what should you do? Maintain prayers, aqimu salah, and wa'atu zakah, and give charity, and hold on to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for He is your guide, He is your guardian, He is your God. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِاللَّهِ هُوَ مَوْلَاكُمْ وَنِعْمَ الْمَوْلَى وَنِعْمَ النَّصِيرُ. And He is the greatest guardian, and He is the greatest to be of assistance. You see, this is a very beautiful verse that speaks about Nabi Ibrahim and how he called us the Muslims, and basically it gives us how we should be as Muslims. See, there are things that Islam tells us, to do, which is jihad, striving for in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maintaining prayers, maintaining zakat, and then and holding fast to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are things that now Islam has told us to do, the Quran has told us to do. Okay, but now because we are humans and we live in societies where there are different cultures, different customs, different norms, how do we navigate around this? One of the benefits of this prayer, or one of the benefits of maintaining the Islamic principles and being upright in them, is in Surah Al-Fatih, the last verse thereof, chapter 48, verse number 29. Muhammadun Rasulullah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُم. Those who are with him, they are severe to the non-believers, or a bit harsh to the non-believers, but very merciful among themselves. تَرَاهُمْ رُكَّعًا وَسُجَّدًا يَبْتَغُونَ فَضْلًا مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرِضْوَانًا. You see them constantly genuflecting in ruku' and prostrating in sajda, seeking the grace of Allah and His pleasure. This is the point. Simahum fi wujuhihim min athar sujud. Their mark, or their sign, or their trademark, their trademark rather, is in their faces due to their prostration. This could be the physical black mark on your forehead, but moreover, it is the mark of nur, the mark of the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your face. You know, when somebody is very up to date with their prayers, up to date with their good with their akhlaq and so on and so forth, you can see it from their face that no, okay, Mutamudimu, this is God's person, this one. You see, you can see that for him. So you know, perhaps we as new Muslims, or as people with living in this difficult environment and society called South Africa, maybe we don't have that nur, maybe we don't have that athar sujud. What is our sima? What is our trademark? What is the thing that shows people that no, these people are Muslims? What is it? What is the thing that people can distinguish us from the rest? What is that? See, we need to develop such a thing. We need to develop such a thing because the topic today is what? Identity crisis. It's a real thing. It is a real thing. Many sisters become Muslim and then all of a sudden, unfortunately, of course, because of the circles they are in, the black Muslim brothers are not Muslim enough for them. So now they start only speaking English because I don't know who said English is the language for Islam, and then they are only interested in the fairer colored brothers with the smoother textured hair, you know. And this is disturbing. Okay, fine, now you've become Muslim, you lose your identity now. Basically, you become a deputy Indian, or a deputy Arab, or a deputy whatever. You leave your African culture, you see. And then this brings you to what? When reality hits now, it's like you're too black to be a true Muslim, but you're also too Muslim to be black. And this is partly our fault. Partly our fault that when we become Muslim, we want to break away from our cultures, our norms, our environment, our society. We want to break away from it and be totally different and unrelatable. And yeah, you want to be as far away from it. And this is a problem now. It has karma, it has adverse results, you see. It's partly our fault. Yes, we can argue and point fingers that no, other communities as well, or other races in Islam don't accept us, blah, 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 blah. They are not obliged to. They are not obliged to. They have their own culture, they have their own way of doing things, As long as it doesn't go against the principles of Islam, there is nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. So you go there, you want to fit in, it's going to be difficult because then you're going to lose your culture, you're going to lose yourself, you're going to lose your norms, you're going to, then it brings you to too black to be Muslim, a true Muslim, and too Muslim to be a true black. Because now when that reality hits and you want to try and be relevant again and relate to the people that you neglected all along, now you can't because you have to unlearn a lot and it's difficult to unlearn. It's easy to learn, very difficult to unlearn. Now it's hard to relate to these people that you left and neglected. It becomes too difficult. There are many examples that one can cite here. You see, as soon as they become Muslims now, no more wearing caps, no more wearing sporty, no more wearing topi one way. Eh? Topi one way. No more t-shirts, no more long short sleeves, no more normal shirts, always kurta, one way, one way. You see, you don't have to do that. In fact, what we need to do is find and define. I've been trying for many years now since I came back to the country 6 years ago. I even made it a hashtag. It didn't catch on fire. The Indigenous Islamic Identity, triple I, Indigenous Islamic Identity. What I mean by this is we should find a way that we can present ourselves. How? When we have funerals, they know that no, the black Muslims have their funerals in this fashion. This is what they do. Forget the Sunni Shia discussion for a while now. We'll get to that later. But us as a collective, as black Muslims, we need to have a way that we do things collectively together. You see, they should know that, okay, no, this is how black Muslims, the way we conduct our funerals, the way we conduct our weddings, the way we conduct everything, Jay, conferences, this and that. They should know that, okay, it should be known, and then it, even amongst us, it must become normal. Maybe it won't succeed in our generation, maybe our children, or our children's children. Hey, tata fell. But we should plant the seed now, and hopefully it can grow into the tree that we want to see, where we can have an indigenous Islamic identity. Then you don't have to wear the white Arab robes, and you don't have to wear the Moroccan woolen robes. You don't have to wear the Persian outfits. We can have our own attire, maybe even our own design of rings, because this is something that's mustahab that all Muslims do, wearing rings. We can have our own design of rings. Maybe a few designers can consult me. I have many friends that are jewelers. Maybe we can come with our own design for rings. Then it's known that no, as soon as when you become a Muslim, you get yourself a certificate that no, I became Muslim on this day, under this Imam, so on and so forth, and you get a ring. Maybe, inshallah, a few books of literature also to help the new Muslim learn their basics, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah grant us tawfiq to at least author that or compile that, inshallah. That then we can define our own identity. No, this is how the black South African Muslims are. This is their culture, this is their norm as a collective. Something that's not too far from our different cultures in South Africa, but also something that's not that's unifying for the black Muslims. It should not be far from all our 11, however many cultures we have in South Africa, but it must also be unifying for all Muslims, whether the brother is a Xhosa, is a Zulu, is a Venda, is a Tsonga, is a Pedi, is a Sotho. There must be one way for everyone to do this. that no, the black Muslims, this is how they do. They don't neglect their cultures, their different cultures, but this is their unifying structure. This is their unifying attire. This is their unifying norms, and customs. This is their ring, for example. This is their jewelry. We have to create that, because otherwise many of our children will have that identity crisis. I heard from okay, no, let me not make that example, but it's difficult. The differences are there. The differences are there. Inshallah, we'll discuss them in the next lecture, which titled "No Caste System in Islam." The differences are there. They're endorsed by the Quran, tribes and nations, male and female, so that you know each other. In another place, the differences in your tongue and your skin tone, they are all there. They are all mentioned there as signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the differences are there. We cannot overlook them, but they don't create a superiority over anyone. And then there should be an identity. So they sort of make an identity for us. So that identity, we should not neglect it. Maybe refine it with a certain few principles of Islam so that we can have an indigenous Islamic identity. This is very important. It is of paramount importance that we develop that. Sure, maybe we can copy from the Moroccans, the Arabs, this and that, but they refine it and redefine it to make it our own for us as the indigenous black South Africans, inshallah. You see, we have to be South African. We have to keep our culture. We have to keep our norms, but also we have to showcase Islam through that and not have this identity crisis. This identity crisis, unfortunately, it creates an inferiority complex in us, and it endorses the superiority complex in others. Inshallah, we'll talk about that in the next lecture about the caste system in Islam. A beautiful video in close. I'm sure that the idea is clear here, that we need to create that kind of identity whereby this is stuff that we know about. For example, now Iran, Iraq, neighboring countries. Okay, this is Arab, this is Farsi, so different language. Same majlis for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, done different ways. This one, first of all, they recite in Arabic. This one, they recite in Farsi. This one, even the recitation is different. From the Quran, the recitation is different. The speaker's style will be different. The masa'ib will be different. The matam will be different. Iraq, same thing. It will be different. It is distinct, but it is it is unifying for the Iraqis, but it is distinct from the Iranian. But it does not necessarily create now a division and say no. This is the Irani brand of Azza Majalis, and this is the Iraqi brand. No, it is only because of the differences that exist, and then they created there's an identity around that, and both are acknowledged and both are appreciated. You see the beauty of this when you walk during Arba'in. A very beautiful one majlis here. You hear a Farsi reciter. Few meters down the way you walk, you hear Iraqi reciter. Few meters down the Lebanese reciter. All distinct, but all doing the same thing. So it's not a crime for us as the black South Africans to also create that kind of band for us. That brand of, or that identity for ourselves. It's very important. We put our foot down and say, no, look, this is us and this is how we're going to do it, and this is what works for us. A few years ago, there was a video. I was lucky to have met the Sheikh in Kenya. He is Maasai. He's from the Maasai tribe. So he was doing da'wah to the Maasai tribe in their language, dressed in their attire, and so on and so forth. And he was discussing with them, telling them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, telling them the good words from Ahlul Bayt, as were instructed by Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, going on and on and on. It's a beautiful video. He didn't lose his identity. Yes, whenever he's in certain circles, he'll wear his turban and so on and so forth. But when he's with his Maasai people, he dresses like them, he speaks like them, but showcasing Islam. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. That is something that we need to do in South Africa. We absolutely need to do it. It is very important. Otherwise, if we don't create an identity for us, we're gonna dissolve. We're gonna lose ourselves. We're not going anywhere. You see, we won't have. We'll be like jellyfish taken by any current. Of course, South Africans, we are people of Ubuntu, welcome and open to everyone, but we should also not lose ourselves, not lose our identity as well. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to be good Muslims, be good ambassadors of Islam, be not to take us from this life except that He's pleased with us, pleased with our Islam, pleased with our Iman. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for great tawfiq in this life, inshallah. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to our pioneers, our elders, to bless them, to grant them long life, and to forgive their shortcomings, and to reward them greatly for their deeds and actions. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to build a strong community of black Muslims in South Africa. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send the reward of Surah Al-Fatiha to the ill, to the deceased, to all those who are in need before it. Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد. بسم الله الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.